record to the cloud. Hope that worked. Okay, so thank you for showing up. As you know, my name is Quill, and I am an EdTech TOA here at Learning and Teaching. And so I've kind of been working with Nearpod a lot. So I wanted to just share with you some tips on how to kind of use Nearpod to sub, especially in an emergency situation, or just at least to get the class started. So I did that. So some of the things I want to cover, just, and I'll try to do this as quickly as possible, but I really want you to know how to use school folders. I believe, I'll check in a minute, but I believe I made every coach and outreach person a school site administrator on Nearpod, which means that your settings allow you to create folders within your school site only. So like if you ever pre-plan like maybe some lessons that teachers can pull from that folder, you can do that. Teachers can drop in lessons into your school site folder, but they cannot create folders, only you can. So if you want to organize them or organize them already by grade levels, they are more than welcome to drop in lessons in there to use as a resource. The other thing I wanted to show you is how to search and then copy pre-built Nearpod lessons. And I'm going to show you your lesson settings and also how to launch live or student-paced lessons. What's the difference? So there's a couple of things on there that I really want to go over, and hopefully you can use it at your school site. So as I mentioned, we all have licenses or access to Nearpod using our OMSD email. Those licenses, as soon as the first time you log in, it will make everything available to you. So the only way to do that is by actually logging into Nearpod at nearpod.com. Super easy. As soon as you do it, you can even do it now if you've never done it. You'll have full access of all the lessons that our fees or our license renewals have given us. This is what your teacher desktop looks like. So you're going to be working with this screen if you've never used Nearpod. So I want to make sure that you're familiar with this. This is where you're going to do the majority, if not all of your work with Nearpod. So it's pretty, the interface is very simple. It's very sleek. I like it. There's not too much to it. Like I mentioned, if you are an outreach consultant or an outreach person or an instructional coach, your permission settings allow you to organize those folders, to name them, to even delete if you need some the school library. So you have access to that. If you have any troubles at all, please reach out to me and I can get in contact with Nearpod to make sure that your permissions allow you to do all those organizational things. If you notice the district library right underneath the school library, I or Jeff or Ricky or whoever has access as an admin to the district, we can drop in lessons in there and anyone can access those. So they can always copy, they just can't, drop in lessons in there. But at the school sites, all of your teachers have access to that school library. And then one of the last things I want to show you is how to search for Nearpod lessons. We're going to do that right now in a minute. And then you can actually look at all of the pre-built lessons in there. I'm just going to tell you, I think the most time-consuming thing with Nearpod is actually looking for that right lesson for any classroom. So let's go ahead and explore. Let me go to my Nearpod. So here is what it looks like. This is my own personal one. If you can do me a favor and just go ahead and open another web browser, and if you can split your screens or what have you, go ahead and I'm going to walk you through a couple of settings so that way you can make sure that you're all ready to go. And you actually, if you're going into a classroom, especially like third grade and above, if they all have their devices with them, there's no reason why they won't be able to follow along in a Nearpod lesson if you wish to launch it. So right here on the top right corner is where you're going to find lesson settings. So if you go up here to your own personal like bubble, go to lesson settings. Some of these are off and some of them are on. So if you find that they're off, I would turn them on. I'll tell you which ones specifically. So on the first one that says enable student names to autofill, you want to turn that on. You always want to have that one on. So what that does, it forces the students to log in using their Google accounts, their OMSD accounts, and that's where it pulls their name from. So you don't want them, typing in their own silly names. You want to make sure that they're forced to type in their full names. This immersive reader option, you always want that on as well. So what immersive reader does is that it reads text to them, but it doesn't read text that is flattened like in a PDF file. So it won't be able to do that. But if you type in any text into your Nearpod slide, or if most of the Nearpod slides that are pre-built, they will have the ability to listen to the story or the instructions. So then you don't have to worry about those students that are struggling because they will always have the option to listen to the instruction or the text. This next one called Enable Student Notes, I would not turn that on. We've had a little bit of difficulty with that option. So basically what that allows students to do, and this was something really popular in the middle schools, and some teachers do turn it on, but it allows students to take notes on each slide, and then those notes are saved onto their personal Google drives, but we've had issues with it, and we're trying to work those out. But if in the lower grades, it kind of becomes a distraction. So I would just recommend to leave that off. And then basically the next ones, you can read them for yourself. It kind of tells you exactly what it allows students to do. These last two are kind of important if you're launching lessons that are student-paced. So that means they're doing it asynchronously. They're doing it without you leading the slides. This bottom one in particular, you don't ever want to, I don't see why a teacher would want the students to have the ability to like move all the way to the end, because this for actually do the activity or watch the video that you've assigned them. If it's a pre-built lesson, all the activities that go in there, they have to answer like the questions before they can move on. So this one you definitely want it on. So I would say of all these, this first one and the last one are really, really important. And then the next one, this one right here, enable Collaborate board for student-paced lessons. If you leave this on, what it basically says is, or what it basically does is, it allows students to collaborate on a board like Jamboard, but you have the option to look at those responses before they're posted, like a Jamboard. In a student-paced lesson, I would probably not allow that, because if you leave this on for a student-paced lesson, there's a workaround for you to approve their submissions, but it's a little tricky. So if you can avoid a Collaborate board on a student-paced lesson, I would do that unless you feel really confident about that. So these are your settings that you really want to remember to make sure that you have certain options on before you even start any of the lessons. Some teachers forget and they're like, why are my class, why are they, allowed to move forward? And I'm like, check your lesson settings. So I wanted to make sure that all of you are aware of that. All right, so let's go on to how do I look for a lesson, right? How am I gonna look for it? So like I said, go ahead and go to Nearpod library right here. It's gonna send you to this screen where you can look for any lesson at all that's already ready to go. So what I like to do is on the left side, they give you three options. You can either search for full lessons. So a full lesson means exactly that, like it'll take them from step one all the way to the end of the lesson. So if it's a multiplication lesson, it might start off with some background knowledge, some activities, a video, and then, whatever else they have in there. So those are what you really want to look at. If I'm an orc or a teacher on assignment and they give me a classroom and there's no subplans, I would want to make sure that I can launch something that is going to engage them and something related to their grade level really quickly, right? So that way they're not just, reading or doing iReady the whole day. So what I want to do is I want to search for those lessons. So I'm going to not click on that. If you click on activities, these are standalone activities. So you don't want that either. So these are great if you know how to use Nearpod really quickly, but these are only going to give you like one slide. So you kind of wanted that, not do that. If you click on video, this is only going to give you videos. That's it. These are all videos. They're standalone videos. They're content related. They're usually not very long. As you can see here, this one might be the longest at 5 minutes. So you don't want to click on that one. So get into the habit of searching for lessons just by clicking on this. And then you can either search through subject area. So if you're looking for a math, and even if you an idea like, hey, I've been going into 4th and 5th grade a lot. So you could just click on those two, and then it's going to give you all the lessons related to the content area of math, 4th grade, lessons only. If you want to be more specific, like I was thinking about it, I'm like, well, kids always need multiplication. You can type in multiplication, and anything with that keyword is going to appear here. Now I can start, looking for lessons. So I'm going to go ahead and say multiplication of whole numbers. This is geared towards 3rd and 4th grade. Click on it, and it's going to allow you to preview it. So if you take a look and see, the first thing I do personally is I look up here on the upper right corner, and do you see how there is this deck of 35 slides? So in my experience, Nearpod offers lessons that are usually between 25 and like 40 slides long. If I see that magic number, which is 30 or more, I know that that lesson is pretty good. Like I don't know yet, but I know it's at least enough to keep them busy or engaged in the work for at least about 45 minutes to an hour. So what you want to do is preview it. So you're going to go ahead and see this preview. If you see 2 cards like this just means that it's one slide, but there's 2 cards. So the kids have to know that they have to click on both of them. But usually it's going to give them one slide that walks them through what the lesson is about. This tells you right here that it's about 50 minutes long. So then what you want to do is you just want to vet this. You want to go ahead and look at each slide. You can participate in it right here. Like you can literally click and see what the kids are going to do. And then it's going to walk you through. Here's a collaborate board. So if kids, if they type in something and post it, they're going to show it right there. This is the board that I was telling you that you're going to decide whether you want them to have it or if you want to take a look at what they're posting before you approve it. And then it's going to walk you through some candy problem. So you're going to get all of that. There's another collaborate board. It's got the 30 minutes, it says there. There's a video here. So anytime you see this, you can play the videos. It tells you how long they are. So the first thing you're going to want to do is actually go through the slide and look at it and say, I can see a 3rd grade class doing this. I can see a 4th grade class doing this. Even a 5th grade, they can always review multiplication. So if you like it, what you're going to do is click right here on add to my lessons. So let's pretend Mr. McQuill loves this one. So I'm going to go ahead and click on it. It's adding it. Now, when I go back, if you want to go back to your, just click on the Nearpod up here. It always takes you back to your desktop. Now you have it here. Okay, so now it's on your desktop. It's no longer in the sea of Nearpod lessons. It's right here where you want it. So in here, you can actually create a folder. So you see up here on your desktop, if you create a folder, you could say 4 to 6 math. So I'm just going to say, hey, you know what? I'm going to start looking at some lessons and I'm going to start gathering them in case I have to and then go back to your lessons. And here it is. Where is it? It's right here. So you're going to say all of the good lessons I find for math from 4 to 6, I'm going to drop them over here. So you can literally slide this and it'll go into that folder right there. Okay, so the first thing I would do if you really want to use Nearpod to help you out is maybe organize your desktop and then create your folder. So that way, as soon as you go into a classroom, from any computer, right, you can log in as into Nearpod. Even if the computer is logged in as a teacher, you can certainly log in as into the Nearpod website, log in as yourself, and then launch from there. So you really, it's super cool to think that Nearpod goes along with you in whichever class you're covering. Now, what do I do to launch a lesson? So if you've never launched a Nearpod lesson, I would definitely try it with a friend or someone at home, right? There's two options. You can either launch it live or you can launch it as a student paced. Live means you control the slides. Student paced means they control the slides. So they're moving along like so. That just remember that this is synchronous, this is asynchronous. So if you're going to launch it live, you're going to go ahead and click on launching it. This is what it looks like. So the way the kids join the lesson is either they go to Nearpod, like it says right there, join.nearpod.com. They can either copy this. And remember, since we enabled the function for them to sign in as OMSD students, you don't have to worry about that. So they're going to sign in as themselves. If you have access to the teacher's Google Classroom, I know the school site I was at, we had to add our principal and our assistant principals as co-teachers to Google Classroom. If you have access to that, you can actually push this out by clicking on this and just tell the kids, go to your Google Classroom and look for this. And you'll see here, this is my account. It's a little slow, but it will give you the list of classes that you can launch in there. So that's how you would launch it live, and then you control the slides. So you would, once you give them enough time to complete a slide, you just move it along. It makes all of their screens go along with you. So that would be great if you're there in person, face to face, and you're kind of walking them through. I've had the experience of subbing in a class where unfortunately the teacher could not provide lesson plans. So I've been launching like Hour of Code or GSIT, and it's worked wonders. Like it's been really, really helpful. And that was with third graders. So I was really happy that they all had their Chromebooks. And so I was able to do that. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. In a live session, there are two things you just have to be aware of. If you look up here, you can end the session. So every time you launch a Nearpod lesson, it opens a session. So this is how it works. If you end it, that means kids have to start at the beginning if you relaunch it. So the reason you would end a session is to have a report. So it produces a report. So if a kid is on slide 20 and you end the session, the kid will not have done slides 26 through, let's say, 30. So it's really up to you whether you want to end the session or if you want to pause it. So the pause button is over here on the left side. Yeah, it's kind of weird. I found that out after a while because I was ending all my sessions, and finally the Nearpod person says, well, you can pause it over here. So if you pause it, it says you can resume it later, and I can pause it. That means that when I resume it, the kids are going to continue on where they left off. So if you have a Nearpod lesson and they need 2 days instead of to complete it, you certainly want to pause it. You don't want to end the session. For example, the other day when I went to sub and the kids had lunch, going to PE and all that, and I had to literally leave the classroom, I paused the lesson, and when they came back to me, I resumed it so they can continue. So just remember, this is to close it, this is to pause it. So I'm gonna go ahead and end the session. So that's if you're live with the classroom. So I was just talking to someone in the morning, and they mentioned that sometimes there is a situation where the class is by itself. So the admin and everyone else, maybe 2 or 3 admin or teachers on assignment, are taking turns covering the class. So there is a way to launch these student pace, which is this one. And this will allow the students to keep working on it regardless of who's covering the classroom. So like, let's say, Norma comes in, the lesson, launches its student paced, and then an hour later, the assistant principal comes in to cover, or anyone else, maybe a teacher, they found the site sub to come in and continue. You don't have to do anything other than just walk away, and they can come in and continue monitoring. So in order to do the student pace, all you have to do is click on it. Now, student pace works a little bit differently than live session. The main difference is that you cannot end a student pace session there is one way to end it, but I'm not going to show you that way. But the way student pace works is that it's on a time constraint. So the shortest time frame that you can send out a student pace session is within 24 hours. So if you open it today, do you see on my calendar right here? Today's the 20th. You're telling Nearpod that by tomorrow, it's going to end. So it'll end tomorrow, at midnight. So the students, so let's say you have a couple of lessons ready to go. You can give them 4 days to finish it, or the end of the week, as long as they're continuously working on it. Someone mentioned in the last session I had that if they can launch more than one student pace lesson, I was like, yeah, why not? Launch an ELA one, launch a math one, launch a science one, and their work is to continuously work on it until the end of the week. On top of that, remember that your students can also be doing iReady. They could be doing sustained silent reading. They might have PE in the way. So the reality is you can be launching as many lessons as you want for that one group of students to continuously be engaged in some sort of quality content and with very minimal teacher prep. So that's how you're going to designate how long you want that student pace lesson to last. And then right here where it says apply changes, just click on it and you're good to go. If you ever need to shorten or lengthen that, just come to it, go back and just keep doing that. If the kids need more time, give them more days. If they need less time, give them less days. So really, once you apply the changes, you can come back and change it again. So, and it works exactly the same way. If you give the students the code, they're going to access the lesson, but now it's on their own. They can even work on it over the weekend if they wanted to. So you have to decide which of the two do you want to use. Do you want to use student-paced or do you want to use live participation? It just depends on what you want. One of the other things I wanted to show you is, let me manage, I just have my notes here. Oh, I wanted to show you right here on Nearpod Library. I'm going to go ahead and click on it. And if you want to do it, you can do it. Right here, this button that says by publisher, this is really handy. If you click on that one, it's going to give you all the publishers that work with Nearpod. These publishers, most of them, they provide the content. And then the Nearpod team, all they do is they Nearpodize it. So it's kind of like collaborative. I'll tell you one of them that I really like is called, where is it? And if you look at them, you can just see like some of them are familiar, like LearnZillion. But oh, this one right here, it's called Cricket. I came across this one and I really liked it. I was like, this is super cool. So what you're gonna do, it's very handy. It tells you, here are your informational packages. So you could see this one has 31 lessons. So if you click on it, it's gonna give you all of those lessons for informational text, grades 2 to 3 or 4 to 5. So I'm just gonna click on 4 to 5. And then it's gonna give you all of the titles. So you're gonna see here that there's a lot of titles here. It even gives you the Lexile levels. So I used to teach fourth grade, so I knew my Lexile band was 740 to like 8. I believe they had to be at like 820 or 840 by fifth grade. So like if you want to even kind of look in that direction, so you could say, oh, I want to look at this 810 Lexile level. And this is super cool about Cricut, which I loved. I was like, oh my gosh, this is really good. That these are reading passages. Just to let you know, I'm going to go ahead and you can look at these later, but I'm going to go ahead and show you. It's the reading passages here. As you see, they kind of look like leveled readers from Wonders. It even gives them like this VR experience. There's a lot of things I would do with this, like it's super cool. The kids explore, this is just before they read, they explore using their virtual reality. Okay, ask them a question. So I'm gonna go ahead and move over to the reading part. So here is the book. So as you notice on the bottom, it tells them what to do. So I'm gonna go ahead and click on the book and I'm gonna click on it again. So up here on the right, on the left corner, it has the audio already pre-built in there. So they can actually make this text much larger and read along with them and play the audio for those students who may not be at that Lexile level. So again, like as I think about, well, maybe it's a little hard to differentiate like, real quickly on the fly, but at least you have supports here to give those students who are not at that 810 reading level, support, like to actually listen to the story instead of just giving them the literature without those supports. So I really like that about Cricut. I was like, that's super cool. And again, if you need to go lower, you notice that there's a lot of other titles that are a little lower than that Lexile. So, and then as you go through it, there are some real quick worksheets in here to provide some sort of assessment pieces to that. They can always practice on main idea and key details. So again, if you can vet these, because they're something that's easy to manage for you, you can do so. Again, add to my lessons, you just click here, it'll go straight into your desktop. Go back to your desktop. I always like using the Nearpod icon here, and you're gonna have it right there on your desktop. So you have that. If you want something more aligned to the district curriculum, please visit the district library right here. So I'm gonna go ahead and click on that. And do you see these two colors? One is Wonders, one is Eureka. So what Nearpod did is they aligned all of the lessons, and it's even by grade levels. So go ahead and click on fourth grade. Don't add this to your lesson because it's not a lesson, it's just a document. So what I would do is I would preview it. So go ahead and click on preview. And what Nearpod did is they took the scope and sequence of Wonders and Eureka, and they looked at the stories and the skill sets and the grammar that is being taught with that. And all they did was they aligned the existing lessons or activities they have with them to those units weeks. So even your teachers, like if you have a teacher who wants to pull some of these lessons and share them with you, so in case they're absent or if they know they're going to be absent, they can quickly look at these and send them to you, and then you can, if you're going to cover the classroom, you can launch them there. So this is a really cool document that has been out here for a while. And so all you have to do is take the time and say, okay, for weeks 3 and 4 of grade 4, unit 1, what are the lessons that, tie into the themes that are in the current Wonders curriculum? These are not Wonders curriculum, nor do we say, we don't promote it as that. They are supplemental lessons to, to support whatever they're learning during those units. Like I said, they also are Eureka's, they also have a Eureka alignment. Let me go there. So then here's the district. Remember, they're in the district you got to go to the district library. So if you go into Eureka, it works the same way. Go to your grade level here, and then preview the document. And it's going to show you the 4th grade, and it goes by modules. These are sorted by topics. So if they're in topic A, you're going to go ahead and look for the lessons. Remember that these are the lessons. These are the ones that should be between 20 to 40 slides long. These are the substantial ones that you may want to look at and copy them in case you need them. The video and activity libraries are standalone, so just be aware of that. So if you don't know where these are at, we used to have them on our website, but they are all inside the district library of Nearpod, ready to go. I also started some dual immersion Spanish lessons, and the student orientation lesson, this is kind of like a cool introductory Nearpod platform for students. So there's only 3 there. And you can see by this number, it tells you how many folders are inside that one folder. Okay, and I also wanted to share with you, just really quickly, if you go back to publishers here, if you go to Learn Zillion, it also works the same way. So if you're looking for something with math content, just go over here. And it's going to give you all the lessons that Learn Zillion created with Nearpod. So you can look at these at your leisure. Again, if you're looking for something in math, I would definitely look at something generic like multiplication or division, something that kids always need extra practice with throughout the years as they move on from 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th. Again, if you want to do it by lessons, you can do it that way. You notice how once I click on this, it takes away all the Learn Zillion ones. So what you could do for that is just type in Learn Zillion right here, and it'll give you back those all of those lessons of math. And math right here. So if you want math, you want 4th, 5th, and 6th, you have to tell it that you want all of the Learn Zillion lessons that were created for 4th, 5th, and 6th. So it will tell you here, and all you have to do is read the titles of the lessons to see which ones you want. And it works the same. Once you vet it, you look at it, you really like it, you can go ahead and click on it and then copy it. Now, once you have it here, that doesn't mean that you can't add or delete something. So you're like, yeah, I don't want them doing that activity. All you have to do is edit. Oh, that was the one that's launched. So all you have to do, edit lesson right here. And on this screen, this is where you can actually delete the slide. So like if you want this slide deleted, you just delete it here. If you want to add an activity, you can do that as well. Okay, so if you have, sometimes the lessons have some introductory slides for the teacher and you're like, yeah, I don't want the students to look at that. You can delete those still and then just save and exit, and you've already edited that slide. So don't feel that if you copy a lesson that you're stuck with it. You can still edit the lesson to your liking. Okay, and then I haven't checked the chat. Do I have any questions right now? No? Anybody have any questions? You're welcome to unmute. If not, there's one more thing I wanted to share. No? Okay. So the last thing I want to share is co-teaching. So someone said, what does the co-teach function mean? So I looked it up. There's a YouTube video here on how to do co-teaching. So I'm going to just play it with you. And then I'll drop in this slide for you at the end so you can have access to it and so forth. And then Chris, let me know if you can hear it.
In this video, you will learn how to use Nearpod's co-teaching feature, With co-teaching on Nearpod, you and your co-teacher or co-facilitator can both control the pace of the lesson and get real-time insights into student responses. In order to use this feature, you first need to launch a live lesson from your Nearpod homepage. I'm going to do that from my Nearpod homepage on my left-hand side. I'm going to hover over the lesson and choose the live participation option. From here, there are two ways you can make someone a co-teacher. The first way is to toggle on the co-teacher link, copy it, and then send it to your co-teacher. The second way is for them to join the lesson via the join code or the join link. I will join the lesson via the code on the right-hand side to show you how this works. I'm going to copy the code, enter the code, and click join. From here, I can type in my name and then click join lesson. Now, on my left-hand side, as the teacher who launched the lesson, I have another step. I'm going to see on the left-hand person in my session, and I'm going to click, and I see that that's my co-teacher. So I'm going to hover over and click More, and click Make Co-Teacher. It'll prompt me if this is what I would like to do, and I click Yes. Now on the right-hand side, I get a pop-up that says that I'm now a co-teacher. I can click OK. Now it reloads, and now I have the capabilities to move along within the lesson and see real-time data. As students respond, you both will be able to see responses in real time and move forward or backward into the lesson as needed. You can also remove the co-teacher at any time by clicking the people icon, hovering over, clicking More, and click Remove. I'm going to go through this lesson, and you can see as I move on the left-hand side, the teacher screen on the right-hand side is also moving. And I can also do this on the right-hand side, and I can click forward, and we'll also move on the left-hand side, teacher. Once I get to an activity, you can see that both the teacher and the co-teacher have the ability to see all of the data. And once a student submits a response, both teachers are able to see the data and share out the data if they would like. And that's how you use co-teaching in Nearpod in a live lesson. Happy teaching!
So a lot I get asked about co-teaching, especially with RSP teachers who push in as when we were on remote learning, or I was thinking about a situation like when there's a roving sub and it's an IEP day, a teacher can literally launch the lesson, and then whoever's roving coming in, they can take over through that co-teaching method. Or I don't know what situation you guys are encountering at your school sites. That is a really cool option to be able to literally classroom digitally if there's an emergency. And then one of the other cool features, so I'm gonna go ahead and, I was gonna show you a couple of things. So I'm gonna go ahead and give you the slides. I'm gonna drop them in the chat, and so you can have a copy of that. And I'm gonna make sure all of, this always messes me up. I'm gonna go ahead and just move this to anyone with this link so you can have access to that. The last couple other things is, this is I'm gonna copy this link. I'm gonna drop this one in the chat as well. This is a quick guide for student pace lessons that Nearpod just released. So you can take a look at it, and it's a Google slide. Hopefully you don't need permissions to open it. It did come from them. Let me see. There are links on here that are live, and I kind of liked what they did here. On the bottom, they gave you like a choice board that you can prepare beforehand and then push out to students. All they would have to do was click on them, and then they would actually go into the lesson. So I thought that was kind of cool. And then they just kind of gave you some lesson ideas by grade bands to quickly click on those and then search in your own personal banks. So that was just actually given to us this morning. And I thought, oh my gosh, cool. So I'm going to go ahead and share that with you. And then the other thing I wanted to do was I created this, is it this one? Yeah. So this is kind of like, this is a student paste. I'm going to give it to you so you can experience it as a student. There's just a lot of fun things in there about subbing. So I'm going to go ahead and launch it as student paste. And then what I would do is I'm going to copy the link. You see that here. Make sure this is on right here. Do you see where it says require student responses and prevent skipping? Make sure it's on, and then your students will experience a student pace lesson just like that. So if you click on that and then you start it, you're gonna see what it feels like to be a student on a student pace lesson. I try to include different activities in there that that way you kind of sense like, oh, that one's kind of fun. I'm going to tell you right now, the kids really, really love the Draw It feature. So the Draw It feature, it's basically like a whiteboard, and they have the tools on the bottom. And I have launched that. I don't know, when we get to that slide in our digital lessons in person, when I'm in person, they are really engaged with it. And I just think it's a really cool way to give them practice on how to use a digital pen. And I could tell they struggle. Like sometimes I'm like, do you guys use your computers a lot in the classroom? And they're like, no, or yeah. And so sometimes they're really good, and they're searching images and dropping them in, and they know how to manipulate things. And it's like, yes. And then other times, you know, they're a little new to it, but it's really exciting them really engaged with the content. So I'll just tell you, there's a couple activities in there that seem to be a lot more student friendly than others. I know the Draw It one is, and also they have a new feature called Drag and Drop, which is a cool activity where they categorize, you know, content, and there's a lot you could do with it. But again, if it's something that you need on the fly quick, you know, by all means, you know, set up your folders, get those ready to launch lessons in there. The next time, you know, you go into an upper grade classroom, you're good to go. I will say that it also works for kinder, first and second. I do not want, I've launched these lessons in first grade and in kindergarten. The only thing is they do need a lot more help. So, you know, they will need help with logging in. They will need help with, especially if you have the QR codes for them to scan in and sign in. If you're asking them to join using the code, they will need help seeing, you know, join.nearpod.com, especially the little ones. By second grade, they should be okay. Like, and by third grade, they're pros. Like, as long as they have their devices, I can walk into any third grade classroom and say, hey, do you guys want to do an hour of code on Nearpod? And they're all going to say yes. And so then I can go ahead and cover the classroom. And you know, there's moments in that lesson where they're doing independent work, and it gives me breathing room to kind of figure out like what else is next. Again, it's not meant to be your daily instruction. It's just meant to help you during those emergency sub situations that you guys are so awesome at. So that, I believe, is everything I wanted to cover. If Chris, I don't know if you had anything else, or Ricky?
No, that was it. I would have.
Okay.
No, that was good. I wish I had this when I subbed the other day when there was, or like sometimes you sub and you'll not have enough stuff. That's another time when you can jump on and do one of these lessons.
Yeah. And I wanted to just make sure and let you know that, again, here I am. So if you need any help, even if it's planning, please feel free to reach out to us. That's my personal email with work, or if you want to just go ahead and fill out our EdTech assistance form. I had one the other day that said, we're a dual immersion school. Is there any Spanish resources? I was like, yes. So I went ahead and helped her out through an email and some snipping tools. I just dropped in some images. Or if you're stuck, I remember when I first started Nearpod, I didn't get it. I was like, how do you do this? So if you're stuck with something like that, please reach out to me. Or if you need help with organizing your folders, please reach out. Don't feel bad. I am, if I'm here, I will reach out and we can schedule a Zoom in and I can walk you through it, but it's quite good. I really like this product. And if you know of any teachers who want to start using it, and they don't know where to start, just that's another way to reach out to us. We can certainly make time to walk them through it. Last year in remote learning, I had one first grade teacher give me her Google Slides, and I walked her through how to convert them into a Nearpod lesson, and it worked. It worked really nice. So I know the kindergarteners and the first graders can do it as well. So.
Thanks for watching this episode of the Curriculum Cafe. Click like and subscribe to join the cafe for more classroom tips from the TOA team.